Yo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopijanna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Gopijanna Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajadanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajadanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jajorada Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Gopijanna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Gopijanna Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Prabhupada. Once again, Hare Krishna to all of you dear devotees. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam today, Canto 7, Chapter 5, text number 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Daiteya Chandana Vane Jato Yam Kanta Kadruma Yan Mulon Mula Parashor Vishnu Nalaitor Bhaka Daiteya Chandanan Vane Jatoyam Kantaka Druma Yan Mulon Mula Parashor Vishnu Nalaito Bhaka Daiteya Chandana Vane Jatoyam Kantaka Druma Yan Mulon Mula Parashor Vishnu Nalaitor Bhaka. Any devotee want to chant the verse?
Daiteya Chandana Vane Jato Yam Kantaka Drumaha Yanmulan Mula Parasho Vishnor Dalaitor Bakaha
Daiteya chandana vane jatoyam kantak brumaha yanmulan mula parashor vishnur nalayitor bakaha.
Thank you. Daiteya of the demoniac family, Chandana Vane in the sandalwood forest, Jata born, I am this, Kantakadruma thorn tree, Yat of which, Mula of the roots, Unmula in the cutting, Parasho who is like an axe, Vishnu of Lord Vishnu, Nalaita the handle, Arbhakaha, boy. Translation. This rascal Prahlad has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandal trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood forest of the family of demons. And this Prahlad is the handle for that axe. Ooh. Purport. Thorn trees generally grow in the deserted places, not in the sandalwood forests. But the seminal Brahmanas, Sanda and Amarka, compared the dynasty of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu to a sandalwood forest and compare Prahlad Maharaj to a hard, strong thorn tree that could provide a handle of the axe. They compared Lord Vishnu to the axe itself. An axe alone cannot cut a thorn tree. It needs a handle which may be made of the wood of a thorn tree. Thus, the thorn tree of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces by the acts of Vishnu Bhakti, devotional service to the Lord Krishna. Some of the members of demoniac civilization, like Prahlad Maharaj, may become the handle for the axe to assist Lord Vishnu, and thus the entire forest of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces. Daiteya chandana vane jatoyam kantakadruma yan mulon mula parashor vishnor nula nalayito rbakaka. This rascal Prahlad has appeared like a thorn tree in a forest of sandalwood. To cut down sandal trees, an axe is needed, and the wood of the thorn tree is very suitable for the handle of such an axe. Lord Vishnu is the axe for cutting down the sandalwood forest of the family of demons, and this Prahlad is the handle for the axe. Horrible words, for all of us bhakti practitioners who are trying to develop favorable emotions, loving emotions to Lord Shri Krishna. Hearing such words of envy from this demoniac teachers, Sandaya and Marka, is really horrifying our ears and heart. But what we can do? This is Srimad Bhagavatam, encyclopedia of spiritual wisdom about the spiritual and material existence. So we can find in Srimad Bhagavatam all different type of informations, including glory of the Supreme Lord Krishna, how big, how great he is, about his creation, spiritual world, material world, and everything within, how he was created. About Krishna's pastimes, about Krishna's incarnations. We can find everything in Srimad Bhagavatam, including details of what is going on in this material world, about Krishna's creation and different intricacies of different ingredients of his material creation. So there are favorable ingredients from spiritual point of view and unfavorable ingredients, which are coming from negative, unfavorable activities and behavior of living entities. So now we have here very clear example of unfavorable activities and behavior or emotions of living entities who are envious of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, of Lord Krishna. So in this way, we have access to all types of information, not only about how great God is, how great Krishna is, about his glories, pastimes, etc., but also about some elements of this material world which showing us how we shouldn't do, which is unfavorable to develop our loving affection to Krishna, and what we should do, what is favorable to do or manifest of behavior or certain emotions to develop our loving affection to the Supreme Lord and deserve to come back to Krishna. So now we are studying here unfavorable approach to the Supreme Lord, exhibited by Sanda and Amarka, who were just seminal brahmanas, not by qualification, but just by birth. What is typical in the material world of externalities and names. So, since we are right now analyzing the negative quality of living entity, how we shouldn't act or how we shouldn't behave, because it's very unfavorable to develop loving affection to the Supreme Lord. So let's analyze on the basis of Krishna's direct words from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna mentioned in chapter 16, the divine and demoniac natures. I will just read just short characteristic of demoniac tendencies, which we should avoid like fire. No one of us want to be burned, although we all originated from material demoniac society, godless society. Like Prahlad Maharaj, he was born, he appeared in demoniac society. So somehow or another, because of the influence, education, and blessings of his spiritual master, Narada Muni, he was resistant to this demoniac tendency and envy of the Supreme Lord. Like lotus flower. Lotus flower, when it's in the water of some lake or something, or some pond, it's not touched by this water, remain untouched. It's, similarly, like you put water on the plastic is still, dry, it's not wet. So Prahlad Maharaj was like a lotus flower, was not touched by the water of this water of envy of this demoniac society that he appeared. So although we also appear in this waters of material existence, material society, full of demoniac qualities like envy, lust, anger, hatred, illusion, madness, all the different bad qualities, still somehow or another we came in touch with Krishna's and devotees' mercy, and we became bhakti practitioner. So in other words, being bhakti practitioner, we have a chance to purify our consciousness from the contamination that we receive in this material existence, in material society. And we can also trace some elements of envy, like this Anand and Sanda and Amarka was exhibited. Krishna also, in his very precise analysis of demoniac nature, demoniac qualities, tendencies, also is giving us warning. Don't focus on this type of qualities. Try to give up, get rid of these qualities if you find in your consciousness or your activities or your behavior. So we should be very sensitive. If something like this type of qualities that I'm going to read appear in our action or our behavior, we should be disgusted by our mistake. So therefore, like Srila Prabhupada mentioned, third-class person is able to commit mistake, but only first-class person is able to rectify the mistake. So therefore, we should be very sensitive and observe, introspective and sensitive, and observe our activities and our behavior. And if we will detect some contaminations, some wrong action or our behavior, we should immediately try to rectify these mistakes. So therefore, these bad examples, these examples of bad action and behavior is also good for us because we know what to avoid, what is unfavorable, what to avoid. Like parents usually train their kids, this you should do like this is good, but this is bad and you should avoid this, don't do this. So parents trying to develop sense of discrimination in their children, teaching them what is good, what is bad, that they will be able to distinguish what is good and what is bad. So similarly, Krishna is giving us a training, what is bad and what is good. So let's focus on what is bad in order to avoid these things like fire in our life. So Krishna mentioned in chapter 16, text number 18, bewildered by false ego. False ego means wrong identification, thinking ourselves that I am this body and mind. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger. The demons become envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in their own bodies and in the bodies of others, and blaspheme against the real religion. Those who are, next text, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So in this way, Krishna is fulfilling desires of their desires to cultivate envy and animosity toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those who worship and serve the Supreme Lord. So this is very bad. This is very bad. And because this living entity and these living entities, they cultivate such desire. So Krishna is fulfilling a desire to cast them into ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life, that they can fulfill their desire, continue their attitude. But at the same time, Krishna is known also as a perfect arranger. He is fulfilling many different purposes by one action. So he is giving them opportunity to continue their envious existence, appearing amongst demoniac species and cultivate the envy to the Supreme Lord and blessing the Supreme Lord, blessing the devotees of the Lord, or negate the authority of the Holy Scriptures. But at the same time, this is type of punishment that they will suffer, because sometimes for bewildered person who has who didn't develop proper intelligence, proper understanding, sometimes argumentum ad baculum is very helpful. Like in case of, let's say, mischievous, naughty kids. Like my father, in my case, when I was exhibiting wrong behavior, wrong activities, so sometimes he was taking some argumentum ad baculum in the form of a stick or something, and told me, so I was telling you so many times, but these words are not able to penetrate your brain. So I'm using this helper to help me to translate what my message was. And then it was boom, boom, now I understand. Yes, yeah, I understand. So similarly, this tendency actually from then this tendency of ours actually originate from Krishna. Krishna has many varieties of tools to teach conditioned soul what is proper, what is not. So casting them, these envious entities, to the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life, from one sense is the fulfillment of their envious desires, but in the same time, this is punishment. Living entity, why punishment? Because living entity want to be happy, want to have peaceful mind and relish happiness within, satisfaction, fulfillment. But there is no question to be peaceful and satisfied and fulfilled and happy when we are envious of the supreme complete whole. Be envious about ourselves as a integral part and parcel of complete whole. So if we have this envy, we are poisoned by envy, we can not enjoy healthy life. Healthy life means Sat Chit Ananda, understanding that we are eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. We are full of knowledge, spiritual knowledge and understanding, who we are, who is the Supreme Absolute Truth, this the origin of everything, source of everything, and real happiness. So this quality of us are impossible to manifest when our consciousness is polluted by this envious, by envy, by poison of envy. So we can come only to our health, spiritual health, when we get rid of this poison, this envy. So in another verse, in 18th chapter 68, Krishna mentioned this. No, first I will read another. So how like we mentioned, we need to come back to our original constitutional position, to our spiritual health. When we will achieve this spiritual health, so then we will be eligible to relish happiness within, relish peace of mind, relish a real understanding, real knowledge that helps us understand who we are, what is the origin of everything, what is the source of everything, what is our relationship, and act and behave accordingly to reconnect ourselves with the source of everything through love and devotion. So Krishna mentioned in chapter 9, text number 1, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." Now we are switching to chapter 18, where Krishna mentioned, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So on the basis of this brief information, we can understand how envy, how this poison of envy is so destructive. So when we detect even slight trace of some envy in our heart, in our mind, in our consciousness, we need to immediately apply some antidotum, need to rectify. As we can see here, Sanda and Amarka, they were exhibiting envy. This material envy is actually another indirect way of admitting greatness of someone better than us. So, but in being bewildered by material illusory energy, we are exhibiting this envy in a very destructive way, trying to diminish the glory or greatness of the person whom we envy. So therefore, we are trying to find some clever arguments to put this person down or infame this person amongst others, reduce as much as possible the greatness and glory of this person. This is material envy. And this perfect example here, how Sanda and Amarka were trying to diminish the glory of the Supreme Lord and Prahlad Maharaj, devoted devotee of the Lord. So, but there is also another way of exhibiting envy. There is spiritual way of exhibiting envy. Envy is not something, not phenomena that appears separately, excuse me, separately from spiritual existence. There is envy, spiritual envy in spiritual world, but it's manifesting in completely different way. When envy is exhibited in spiritual way, so this is like indication that some of the devotee of Krishna is doing better service to Krishna than I'm doing. So this emotion, this quality, envy, is actually inspiring me to do to improve quality of my service to Krishna, like this devotee is doing. So this is like type of inspiration to improve quality of my own service, not by diminishing the glory of another devotee, but rather like type of transcendental spiritual competition to improve quality of my service that I can satisfy Krishna more. How this can be detected or apply on this earthly plane? When devotee detects that he is envious of another devotee, he is trying to get rid of this negative emotion, which is polluted by this material existence. So therefore, when he see that, oh, I have this tendency to be envious of this devotee, so naturally contaminated mind by bodily concept, by false ego, by material existence, is trying to force us to diminish the glory of this devotee, to diminish the fame, the ability, greatness of this particular devotee. So what we should do? We should learn the art, instead of criticizing, diminishing the greatness of the devotee, we need to do opposite, just to expose greatness of this devotee, to confirm, yes, this person is totally better than me. if we will do against the contaminated mind that is forcing us to act in a negative, unfavorable way, we need to act in opposite way, just to understand what is proper and also to satisfy Krishna. If we remember that Krishna is the witness of all our activities and our behavior, so then whatever we do, we will do this to satisfy Krishna. So if we will go with the stream of this material existence, how all living entities infected by envy doing in this material existence, diminishing the glory of another person and glory of the Supreme Lord, so then we will be not better than them, and there will be just end of our bhakti pursuance. But if we understand that this is bad, so I need to get rid of this poison, so then we will accept antidotum. Antidotum is to act against this type of material, envious, this venom-like tendency. So, how to do this? Another verse from Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 12, devotional service, Krishna is explaining. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence fix on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. And because Srila Prabhupada purport is filled with nectarian instructions, so let's read a little bit and relish this transcendental message for our own purification and benefit, to apply, at least today, try to apply all the different information, these instructions into our activities or behavior, just to utilize every particular day as type of class or training to improve ourselves, to improve quality of our service. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned, coming again to the point of pure devotional service, the Lord is describing the transcendental qualifications of a pure devotee in these two verses. A pure devotee is never disturbed in any circumstances. Sometimes we're hankering for such a state of our mind and consciousness, to never be disturbed in any circumstances. But what is required? Let's read. Nor is he envious of anyone, nor does a devotee become his enemy's enemy. He thinks, this person is acting as my enemy due to my own past misdeeds. So it is better to suffer than to protest. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, it is stated, Tate nukampamam sumikshamano bhujana evatma kritam vipakam. Whenever a devotee is in distress or has fallen into difficulty, he thinks that it is the Lord's mercy upon him. He thinks, thanks to my past misdeeds, I should suffer far, far greater than I am suffering now. So that it is by the mercy of the Supreme Lord that I am not getting all the punishment I am due. I am just getting a little by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's analyze. This is how we should. This is antidotum. This is very favorable way of thinking. But what is typical thinking for materialistic person who is polluted by this venom of envy of God. Why this happened to me? My God, do you understand that this is not good for me? Change your behavior, change your attitude. I deserve something more, something better. So it's just like arrogant blame. Why you did to me? I deserve something better. But what are you thinking? Complete opposite. Oh, thank you, my dear Lord, that you kindly giving me reduced reaction of my sinful activities from the past. Actually, I should suffer much more, but by your kindness and your sweetness, you develop due to your love, you reduce this sinful reactions that I am due. So this is completely different attitude, different approach, different behavior. So we need to cultivate this type of behavior. So as soon as we see or detecting in our mind or consciousness this rebellious, this arrogant, blaming, wrong attitude, that something wrong to happen to us, we shouldn't go with this type of aggression towards the Supreme Lord or devotee, but rather we should pause and in introspective way, we should actually try to develop appreciation and gratitude what's happening, because this is actually way how I should be trained to give up all bad activities, bad attitude, bad behavior. It's like sometimes in martial art, or better is the example Srila Prabhupada, more authorized. Srila Prabhupada has a son, as all of you know, and this son was persisting to have a fun to put his finger into fan. But parents, mother and father, they were not in favor to allow this little son to put his finger into running fan, because it will be very dangerous for this boy. He can lose his finger out of the power of this fan. But you know, little people, they don't, due to lack of knowledge and experience, often they don't know what to do, what is proper, what is not. So therefore, you know, afraid that this little boy put his finger into fan when they are away. So then Father Srila Prabhupada in that time, he decided, okay, let me teach this boy a lesson. Okay, boy, come over. So you are persisting to put your finger into fan. Yes, Dad, yes. Okay, so now will be your turn. Come over. So, but before he called his son, he turned off the power. So then fan was reducing the speed in the same way, the strength to cut the finger. So when fan was still rotating, and but without strength, he requested his son, okay, son, now it's time for you to put your finger into this pen and have fun. All right, Daddy, all right, thank you. Boom, and he put finger into this pen, and because of pen was still rotating, it was painful experience for this boy. Oh, start to cry and lament. Oh my goodness, this is painful. Well, you was so eager to put your finger into fan, so you did this. So why you don't want to put again? No. Put again. No. So this was very healthy, very helpful experience to understand this is not good idea to put finger into fan. So therefore, Krishna is using sometimes argumentum ad baculum to teach us a lesson. So when sometimes is happening to us during our practice of Bhakti Yoga, it is actually beneficial for us. It's very helpful, like for this boy, to understand that it is not a good idea to act in a sinful way, to act in a very rebellious or envious way. So therefore, we should develop this appreciative and attitude, and with gratitude, we should thank Krishna for reducing all these different reactions of our sinful acts from past. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada continued, he is always calm. Such devotee who is practicing this favorable activity, this proper action and behavior, is always calm, quiet, and patient, despite many distressful conditions. Practice made perfect. When we practice, it's not just something like tourists, just to experience, or to be here one day, another day, another place, just to experience, how is it to be in different places, to just gratify a little bit senses. Oh, I saw this. Oh, I saw this. Just to tell others, yeah, I was there. Yeah, I saw this. Yeah. But this is not this type of experience we are looking for in bhakti. We are looking for very tangible experiences which can improve our character, which can improve quality of our service. So therefore, practice made perfect. The more we practice every day some proper, favorable approach to different things that happens in our life, the more we will be able to continue in this way and be more pleasing for Krishna, earn his favor, earn his satisfaction. And because Krishna is the supreme person, loving person, naturally he reciprocates accordingly. So the more we started trying to satisfy Krishna, Krishna will empower us with this inner strength to have peaceful mind and feel satisfaction, inner satisfaction. But devotee never want to just enjoy inside and be happy. Just therefore, in return, he's using this experience, this positive energy, to even more expand his service and get quality of service for Krishna's satisfaction. And there is no end of such transcendental, beautiful, sweet competition. A devotee is also always kind to everyone, even to his enemy. Like perfect example is Prahlad Maharaj. Although he hears so many piercing, horrible, distasteful, bitter words from Sandayana Marka, still he remained calm and was not arrogant in return to Sandayana Marka, but he was treating them in a very gentle and kind way. Nirmama means that a devotee does not attach much importance to the pains and trouble pertaining to the body, because he knows perfectly well that he is not the material body. He does not identify with the body. Therefore, he is freed from the conception of false ego and is equipoised in happiness and distress. He is tolerant and he is satisfied with whatever comes by the grace of the Supreme Lord. He does not endeavor much to achieve something with great difficulty. Therefore, he's always joyful. He is a completely perfect mystic because he is fixed in the instructions received from the spiritual master. And because his senses are controlled, he is determined. He's not swayed by false arguments, because no one can lead him from the fixed determination of devotional service. He is fully conscious that Krishna is the eternal Lord, so no one can disturb him. All these qualifications enable him to fix his mind and intelligence entirely on the Supreme Lord. Such a standard of devotional service is undoubtedly very rare. But it is good to know what is the standard to aim for. Like my spiritual master always emphasized, it's always good to know the highest standard, that we can know what to do, how to do things, to reach, to gradually improve ourselves in our service to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So we should always keep our eyes on the prize, shortly speaking. But a devotee becomes situated in that stage, although this is very rare, by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Furthermore, the Lord says that such a devotee is very dear to him. So why we are doing what we're doing? It's not just only routine of the day, but we are doing these things to satisfy the Supreme Lord and become dear to him. For the Lord is always pleased with all his activities in full Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, do you have any questions or comments? If not, thank you so much for your glorious patience. Here's, I see some chat.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I
Krishna,
want to thank you for a very nice class.
thank you very
Lots
much.
of
Yes.
wonderful and practical instruction there. Lots to meditate upon. I particularly appreciate your discussion of Srila Prabhupada's instructing his son by allowing him to touch the fan. It's, Srila Prabhupada explains that there are different grades.
Prabhu, we lost you. You are muted.
I'm sorry. So, different classes of intelligence.
Yes.
Intelligent person learns by hearing. Less intelligent person requires to actually experience before they understand. The least intelligent person, even he experiences, he still does not learn. But so Srila Prabhupada implemented this understanding practically in his personal life as a father, as seen in the story of his son touching the fan, but also in his training of his disciples. It's like a policy, and it's not just Srila Prabhupada's policy, it's also Krishna's policy, that if someone is really insistent upon doing something, even it may be bad for them, if they are continually insistent, and even after so much good instruction, then what can be done? So there are, for example, instances in which Srila Prabhupada would, someone would approach Srila Prabhupada with a desire to do a particular thing. One example that comes to mind is the devotees frequently wanted to get college degrees, and they would approach Srila Prabhupada about this, and he would always discourage them that it was unnecessary, it was a waste of time. You should just engage whatever you presently have. But sometimes devotees were very insistent. They would just hound Srila Prabhupada again and again, and so he would relent and say, "Okay, go ahead, do it." And he would explain to others that if he does not give his permission, they will do it anyway, and then they will commit the offense of disobeying their spiritual master. And so he sanctions something that he doesn't want them to do, just to save them from committing the offense, because he understands how profoundly attached they are to some particular thing. They're going to do it no matter what. So better he just tells them, okay. He acts as though he is giving his blessing, and this way they don't have to commit the offense of disregarding him. But it was Srila Prabhupada's policy in general that if someone was very insistent and they could not learn by hearing, then he would just allow them to make the mistake and learn by experiencing. I sometimes hear devotees speaking about the protection of Guru and Krishna as though they can make any mistake and they don't have to worry because their Guru or Krishna will save them. In the end, Guru and Krishna will not let anything terrible happen to them. And so they become complacent. Rather than learning and modifying their behavior, they rationalize that I don't need to worry because my spiritual master and Krishna are so kind and so merciful. Surely they will save me from any terrible consequence. If I neglect my Krishna consciousness and the time of death comes, I don't need to worry. My spiritual master will save me. This is a dreadful mistake to think in this kind of way. It's a serious pitfall. Guru and Krishna warn us again and again, do like this and do not do like this. Or if you fail to do this, there will be terrible consequences. Or if you do this, there will be terrible consequences. If you do this, on the other hand, your future is very bright. So sometimes even devotees have to experience some terrible things. Not because it is imposed upon them by Krishna, but because they have chosen to do something which should not be done. And the natural consequence is there. A devotee should not think that because I'm a devotee, I can do anything and I won't have to suffer the consequences. It doesn't work like that. You have to behave yourself appropriately as a Vaishnava, as a disciple of your Guru, as a devotee of Krishna, and then you're on a safe path and you are saved from all kinds of terrible consequences. But if you deviate in some way, the consequences will surely be there. the laws of material nature will act. They will act very powerfully. They will act very surely. And the material nature doesn't really care who you are. It uh, it just acts. Um, you may be innocent or ignorant, and still the laws will act. If a child touches fire in ignorance because a child doesn't understand the danger of touching fire, he will still be burned. Material nature is unforgiving. And same is true for devotees. We should not think that somehow or other we are specially privileged and we're not going to suffer if we behave improperly. Yes, our Guru and Krishna are very kind and very merciful. And sometimes their kindness and mercy manifests as allowing us to make the mistake so that we learn the lesson that we failed to learn by hearing. That's also a type of mercy. Tough love. Um, it's tough, but sometimes that's what's required. It's required because we were stubborn, because we refused to learn by hearing. We would not act on good instruction. So what alternative do we leave Guru and Krishna? If Krishna simply rescues us, even from our mistakes, that's not really helpful. We will continue to make mistakes. We won't learn anything. It's important to learn. We have to fly our own plane. No one else is going to do that for us. And we have to learn how to fly safely. So Guru and Krishna provide that guidance. We have to follow it carefully because there is great danger if we don't understand how to properly conduct ourselves. The danger is very, very great. We have to understand how great that danger is. That will sober our intelligence and bolster our intelligence, our resolve, our determination to adhere strictly, to keep ourselves on the safe path, so that we are not subject to unnecessary miseries. The miseries can be very, very great. Devotees are not spared miseries. I can tell you from firsthand experience. I experience some miseries that are inconceivable to some people on a daily basis. Devotees are not immune to suffering. Devotees can suffer. Terrible things can happen even to devotees. And we see it all the time. Unfortunate things happen. And it can be a lot worse. Terrible things can happen. At the time of death, you don't know where you can wind up. You know, by committing offenses, one can reap terrible consequences, unbelievably horrible, dire consequences, immense suffering, life after life. It is possible, by offending your spiritual master, to become a ghost. And for a period of time that is so great that it may as well be forever, you are stuck in that hellish condition with no hope of salvation. That can happen to a devotee. Can happen to a devotee by offending his spiritual master. It's described in Shastra. Terrible things can happen. It's very important that you take very seriously the process, adhering to it very, very strictly to the best of your capacity. And your capacity is also a function of how strictly you adhere. If you don't adhere strictly, then your capacity to adhere strictly will be less. There's a relationship there. If you chant a minimum of 16 rounds with great attention and without offense, you will have a tremendous capacity to do everything necessary in devotional service. You'll have the strength and the determination, the intelligence, the understanding, the willingness to do whatever is required. If you neglect that, if you do it poorly, you will be crippled in your ability to do anything else in devotional service. Um, if you don't chant your rounds nicely, you won't be able to chant your rounds nicely, nor do anything else nicely in devotional service. Everything will become um, uh, disturbed. So anyway, the example of Srila Prabhupada's son wanting to touch the fan is incredibly instructive. Very, very important instruction. Um, if you study the life of Srila Prabhupada, you'll see many other instances of him employing this policy. It's how he also instructs his disciples, and it comes from the top. Krishna does it also. Krishna does it. All of our acharyas do it, and Srila Prabhupada did it, and he's still doing it. Learn by hearing. Learn by hearing. Otherwise, you will learn one way or another. That's the mercy of Guru and Krishna. They'll make sure that you learn, but better you do it by hearing. Learn by hearing and act on that. Otherwise, you will have to learn the hard way. And the hard way can be really, really terrible. Can be very, very, very bad. You may have to take some horrible, hellish birth in which perhaps you retain your memory of your previous life as an aspiring devotee, and then you have to suffer horribly, but with the understanding of why I'm suffering, so that you learn. Anyway, I have some realization of this, so I thought I'd share a few words. Thank you again for your class, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for bestowing mercy upon all of us by diamond-like words of your wisdom. You are indeed jewel in our community. Thank you so much for sharing these beautiful realizations. Very important. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for an instructive class. So my question relates to how Sandana Marka interpreting Prahlad's words, that they're basically seeing him as a military infiltrator. So they're seeing this as like a strategy by Vishnu to infiltrate the dynasty of the demons so that he can kill them, just as they do, for example, Kalanemi infiltrating the Boja dynasty to become Kamsa, Jarasandha, Viprachiti infiltrating the Chedis, etc. So in devotional society in ISKCON, in the history of ISKCON, we have seen some spectacular fall downs of gurus. Um, so, and like, so my question is to what extent, and we've also seen that even some three-letter intelligence agencies infiltrating certain religions. There's like history, like agents actually trying to infiltrate major religions, either through marital ties or them becoming priests and actually rising up the ranks, you know. But we don't see proper interpreting these big fall downs and threats, existential threats to ISKCON as like military infiltrations, you know, infiltrations by the demons. But he just categorizes it as, okay, this is a sadhaka, very sincere. They part and parcel of Krishna. So the devotee never sees somebody who's against them as like even somebody maybe with those intentions. They just see them all. They part and parcel of Krishna, and just by coming in contact with Krishna, they will become affected. So to what extent, when in terms of because you're an experienced administrator, so to what extent is if you are having this kind of information from the super soul that okay, there might actually be a big attack on you know like the society, ISKCON or ISKCON branch. You might be getting this information or not, but how far do you go in terms of trying to correct this person so that they don't actually fall down, or doing whatever nefarious things? So, like, my question is, for the Madhyama Adhikari, how do they strike this balance between seeing this person as a part and parcel of Krishna with nefarious intentions, like the way Prabhupada did, at the same and trying to correct them at the same time, also protecting the devotees from this infiltrator who's trying to actually bring down this society?
Thank you for your practical question. Taraka Prabhu, since you are walking spiritual encyclopedia amongst us, would you like to share your words of wisdom on the subject, please?
I'm glad you asked. I was compelled to comment. I'll tell you what Srila Prabhupada told us. Because I spoke about this recently, like a week ago or so, because we've been through some things. There's been some, as we say, spectacular fall downs of leaders. In my experience, first of all, the fall downs that I have seen of leaders were not instances of individuals who were essentially demons, masquerading as devotees or infiltrating, but they were good and sincere devotees, but they were weak and succumbed to Maya. That can happen to any devotee at any time. Any devotee can be victimized by Maya. There are different ways in which it plays out. It manifests in different ways. Very often, or most often, in my experience, someone commits an offense, and from that, everything else results. You commit an offense, and then fall down is the unavoidable natural consequence. Offense means you absolutely will fall down. And when that happens, then all hell breaks loose. Terrible things happen. So my experience, I actually have never seen an instance of a leader who fell down that I could say this individual was not actually a sincere devotee. And I've seen a lot of stuff, seen an awful lot of things. In every instance, these were sincere devotees. They were good devotees, and they did a tremendous amount of service. At times, they were regarded as very wonderful and special devotees. It pains me to see that sometimes they are regarded by other devotees as having been insincere or demons pretending to be devotees or some such thing. That's not what I have seen. They were good devotees, but it should be understood that when you are in a big and powerful position, the types of challenges that you face are far, far greater than what you experience as just a rank and file devotee. just as in warfare, there are high-value targets. If you can take out, a commander on the battlefield, you can effectively cripple, a huge portion of the military force under his command. And Maya is very intelligent, and Srila Prabhupada assures us that we are at war. It's serious. It's deadly serious. We are at war with the material nature. Maya has this thankless task. It's her job to try to defeat us by any means. We will be defeated unless we become perfect in our Krishna consciousness. And that's how it works in a nutshell. You have to perfect yourself in Krishna consciousness. Then Maya backs off. She offers her respects, and you can enter the spiritual sky. In the meantime, if you have any flaw, any fault, Maya will find that and exploit it. But it's deadly serious. It's warfare. Srila Prabhupada told us so many times, we are at war and we should expect that there will be casualties. It's not reasonable to think that in warfare there will not be casualties. There will absolutely be casualties, lots of them. You should expect that. It shouldn't be a surprise. But for leaders, gurus, GBC men, the challenges are very, very, very great. They have to be very, very pure in order to survive in that service. If you're a guru, if you're a spiritual master, you are responsible for all your disciples, however many they may be. If they misbehave, your spiritual master has to accept a significant portion of the consequences for that, because it's his job to ensure that you're behaving properly. If you step out of line, you do something wrong, the guru must also suffer. And that suffering manifests in all different kinds of ways. There are injunctions in Shastra that explain that the spiritual master should not accept many disciples. He should accept only like a handful of disciples, because more than that becomes difficult to manage. It's hard to properly engage and instruct a great many people when it's more than you can reasonably talk to in the course of a day, and also one can be overwhelmed by the karma that you incur. The reactions generated by the disciples can overwhelm a guru who is not extremely powerful in his Krishna consciousness. And we've seen it happen many times. I've watched lots of terrible fall downs. I've seen them close up, really close up. I have been, sometimes the right-hand man of a particular leader, and I watched the entire process unfold from start to finish. I know exactly what happened and how. I watched every little detail as it unfolded. I learned a bunch of things from that, but I can tell you that for leaders in particular, their challenges are very, very great. Consider a courier who is handling cash. Maybe somebody is driving an armored truck or something, or a foot courier who maybe just has a locked attaché. Maybe it's handcuffed to their wrist or something, something of value they are supposed to deliver somewhere. The spiritual master is responsible for delivering the devotional service of the disciple to Krishna. And it's like handling cash. a little bit of cash, a small sum of cash is not very alluring. But when the volume of cash becomes very, very large, it becomes increasingly more attractive. And sometimes one may think, perhaps it wouldn't be so bad if I helped myself to just a little tiny bit of this. After all, I'm performing so many austerities, I'm doing so much service, and sometimes I need a little something. What would it hurt? The slightest deviation when you are handling huge sums is a much bigger deal than when you're handling small sums. If you're driving on the highway at, say, I don't know, if you're driving on a road at 10 or 20 miles an hour, you can sneeze and momentarily lose control of the steering wheel, and it's no big deal. You'll recover control quickly, not a problem. If you're driving at 90 miles an hour and any little thing happens, it can be absolutely catastrophic. The consequences are much greater. They are multiplied many, many times. It is like this for leaders. They are carrying a much greater burden. The consequences are much greater. The pitfalls are much bigger. The allurements are greater. Everything is multiplied. Everything is multiplied many, many times beyond what you can imagine. It's inconceivable to a rank and file devotee, but I have some experience of this. I've had to take responsibility for devotees at various points in time, and it can be devastating. It's very, very hard work. It's extremely challenging trying to manage individuals and also having to deal with the karma that they generate. Because you have to do that. You've got to accept some portion of the reaction, and it can bury you. It can bury you spiritually. You become overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed, and fall down is one of the consequences. And then, all kinds of things can happen. You lose all good intelligence, and Maya just takes control. We should have compassion on those who are in big positions and sometimes fall. But so the question is practically, what do we do when sometimes a leader is off the rails, so to speak? That happens sometimes. So, how do we regard them, and what do we do? When that happened to us in New York, probably most of the devotees did not really understand what was happening, and they continued to do their service. They remained humble and submissive, and did their service in spite of whatever peculiar things were going on. They continued to regard the leader as a great soul. They regarded him with great respect, as well as his wife, who was a nonsense. And she also had her good qualities. She was wonderful to me and to my parents. But she was also not without sincerity. But Maya, very powerful, and launched a colossal attack that did terrible harm. So afterwards, in the aftermath, Srila Prabhupada expressed his appreciation of those devotees who continued to perform their service humbly, submissively, in spite of the difficulties. And there were very great difficulties. Devotees were being horribly abused, verbally, emotionally, and even physically. They were enduring sometimes terrible things. Sometimes they were thrown out of the temple. And if they weren't thrown out, they were horribly abused at times. but they all continue to do their service somehow or other. Srila Prabhupada was not so happy with the senior-most devotees, whom he explained should have known, they should have recognized when something was off, and they should have taken some action. As Srila Prabhupada explained it, it is the duty, the responsibility of the senior-most devotees to be vigilant and to take action when they see the necessity. It is not the duty of the rank and file devotees to have to be vigilant and constantly make judgments about their authorities. That's a terrible frame of consciousness to be in. You want to be in a humble and submissive frame of consciousness that is good and conducive to Krishna consciousness. You want to regard every Vaishnava very, very highly, very well. You don't want to be scrutinizing every devotee for whatever fault there may be. The mentality of fault finding is devastating to Krishna consciousness. So for devotees in general, Srila Prabhupada's instruction was that you do not make judgments. You don't make judgments. There is a, I'm going to share some words from Srila Prabhupada with you because it's so important. And people will tend not to believe me when I say these things, but I tell you, I learned a bunch of things from Srila Prabhupada, and let me see if I can find this now. Oh, shucks. Oh, Krishna. I'm going to have to go to the database. There is a discussion, a conversation that Srila Prabhupada had with a few of his disciples, including Harikesh Prabhu, and who had been in New York when these problems were going on, and Guru Das. And they asked Srila Prabhupada, what do you do when a leader is in Maya? And I can't find the conversation right now. It's really worth hearing. Srila Prabhupada gets very heavy. And he says, it is not your position to judge. You should not judge. You don't judge them. Your temple president, your authorities, it's not your position to judge. If there's some problem, your spiritual master or Krishna will correct it in time. But it's not your position to judge. He was very heavy and very firm about this. You don't do it. But he also instructed the senior-most devotees that this is your job. It's your job to be vigilant. Every other devotee is dependent upon you. You have to protect the devotees. So it's not that every individual devotee has to be vigilant. But you shouldn't be stupid either. Shouldn't be foolish. You see something that you think is off, then you should bring that to a senior devotee and say, hey, I think, I have some concern. I think I'm seeing something here, and maybe I'm wrong. Maya is very powerful, and our senses are imperfect, but I think there's a problem. I've experienced this, and what do you think? What should we do? Srila Prabhupada instructed his senior devotees to conduct investigations to find out what's going on, determine if there is in fact a problem, and effect a solution if there's a need for one. Because sometimes devotees may think that there is a problem where there is none. Sometimes the problem is with the individual who thinks they see a problem. Sometimes we're just envious, but sometimes we really do see a problem. Sometimes there really is a problem, and it must be addressed. Not that we foolishly continue to act like everything is okay and pretend that this devotee is a Vaishnava in good standing, and we continue to treat him with great respect, and should always respect everyone under any circumstances. But we have to understand when someone is in a fallen condition, and they become, a fallen individual, even a devotee. Fall down from Krishna consciousness, it means you become Dvipadapashu. You become a two-legged animal. You're under the control of your senses, and so you're capable of anything. Anything can happen. You're at the whims of Maya. A devotee can control his or her senses, but someone who is not fixed up in Krishna consciousness cannot do so, and then anything can happen. So such an individual has to be, they can be respected, but you have to treat them with care. You have to be careful you have to understand that this individual is capable of anything. They're not under control of their faculties. And so, it means sometimes senior devotees have to make arrangements to relieve a leader of his services for the protection of the devotees. But the most important corrective action is to help that individual to regain their spiritual status. And that was the process that Srila Prabhupada always engaged in. What do you think Srila Prabhupada did in response to the incredible fall down of the leader in New York? When terrible things were going on, what did Srila Prabhupada do? This individual was both the temple president and the GBC. What did Srila Prabhupada do? The answer may surprise you. Srila Prabhupada's response was to give him more responsibility. He made him an even bigger leader. And my experience, having been very close to Srila Prabhupada for a period of time, I saw all kinds of people come and go. Srila Prabhupada had a certain fixed entourage, and then there were others that would come and go. Different people would be assigned the responsibility of becoming Srila Prabhupada's secretary, for example, for periods of time, a certain number of months. And not always, but sometimes that assignment was given because that particular individual had fallen down. So this was, typically a GBC man with huge responsibilities, and sometimes he was in a weakened state. And so Srila Prabhupada would give him his personal association for some period of time. And in those instances, immediately after that, he would put him in some big responsible position. Because and this is important to understand, because the solution to Maya is not to reduce someone's service. The fix for Maya is devotional service. So you don't reduce the service of someone who is in Maya, you give them more service. That was Srila Prabhupada's policy all the time. I never saw him do otherwise. He would do, if the individual was sincere, he would give them more service. If you're in Maya, if your mind is disturbed, if your senses are agitated, what's the solution? You chant extra rounds, you chant Hare Krishna, you chant more. That's the blessing of the action of Maya. That when your senses become agitated, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It it brings your attention to an important need, and it forces you to have to take the proper corrective action, which is you take shelter of Krishna by increasing your service, chiefly hearing and chanting. That's the fix. If you're agitated, if you're disturbed by sex desire, for example, how are you going to fix that? What do you do? How do you deal with that? The the real solution, the simple solution, the easy solution, and what works is you increase your hearing and chanting as much as you can. It just resolve that, okay, from this day forward, I'm going to chant 24 rounds a day. It will absolutely fix your problem. Whatever the problem is, increase your chanting, it will fix your problem. You'll have less time for nonsense. There'll be less time for Maya, because idle mind, devil's workshop. You have to keep yourself busy in devotional service. If you determine that I'm going to chant some number of rounds, it's going to detract from your idle time. So that's a good thing. And then increased hearing and chanting will purify you. Nothing else will do that. Hearing and chanting is our process. That's our process. We're known as the Hare Krishna people because we chant Hare Krishna. That's our thing. It's what we do. We chant Hare Krishna. That's the fix. Chant Hare Krishna. It fixes everything. It's the solution to everything. So you increase devotional service. Anyway, that was what Srila Prabhupada did with fallen leaders. He increased their service. And he didn't like changing leaders. If a temple president was in Maya, for example, or a GBC man, he didn't remove them from their post. Maybe temporarily he would take them on as his secretary to get them fixed up again, and then he would put them back in their position and maybe give them more responsibility. He in his will, he made it nearly impossible to remove a temple president because he didn't like changing leadership. He wanted that the leadership be steady and consistent, to have the opportunity to develop a project under a single cohesive plan, a single leader, and that the leaders should not have to be, threatened with constant removal, and that you don't have a constant reinventing of the wheel and constant changes going on, because the leadership's been changed. Every time you bring in a new person, then everything turns upside down and everything gets reorganized, and time is wasted and resources are wasted, and we lose ground. Srila Prabhupada wanted the leaders to be steady and consistent. So he made it almost impossible to remove a temple president. It can be done under certain circumstances, but it's not easy. It's pretty hard. That's why we've had legal battles that would grind on for decades when some temple president turns his temple into a Ritvik temple. And ISKCON leadership, the GBC, would be practically powerless to do anything about it. So it would become a big legal battle, because the GBC has no power to remove a temple president, even when he's off the rails. It's very difficult. That's by Srila Prabhupada's own design. So those are some things to think about, but these are some of the things that I learned from Srila Prabhupada. Some of it is surprising and counterintuitive. It is not what devotees think, but I promise you, this is what Srila Prabhupada taught us. It's the business of the senior devotees to police and to be vigilant, and it's not the business of others. Anyway, I hope I answered that question, and I took a few tangents because I thought it was important to add a few other important details. I hope it was helpful somehow. Hare Krishna, we've gone way over time. I apologize. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for the thorough answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing with these words of wisdom. They are really diamond-like words. Thank you once again. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. And have a wonderful day, remembering everything what we hear today and trying to implement for our own benefit to increase our service and improve our quality of the service for Krishna's and Guru's pleasure. Hare Krishna.